Good morning, I'm Angelo Castro III.
And I'm Pauline Verzosa, sitting in for Angela Lagunzad Castro.
We bring you the news.
And the views that make you think.
Sometimes we agree.
Sometimes we don't.
This is News and Views. Davao City Mayor Baste Duterte criticized President Bongbong Marcos during his speech at the Araw ng Davao celebration on Sunday. Angela Lagunzad Castro has a report.
What was supposed to be a festive celebration of Davao Day turned out to be a protest during the 88th anniversary of the city yesterday. Thousands of supporters of former President Duterte gathered along with their banners and placards with the message, "Bring Duterte home." That was the message the supporters were constantly conveying. The chants grew louder and the rally became more intense when Davao City Mayor Baste Duterte delivered his fiery speech against President Bongbong Marcos.
You will never be numb. Especially to us who are calling out Rudy Duterte's name. You will never be numb, Mr. Mayor. We will stand up and we will fight back. Aside, you're not being loved by the people. All you have is the government's resources and your turn. Beyond that, you are nothing.
Cheers echoed through the venue for the mayor's speech. Senator Bongo also addressed the crowd, urging supporters and politicians alike to remember the former president.
Please lang, huwag kayo tumigil. Huwag mo tayo tumigil hanggang hindi nila pinapauwi.
Also present were Senatorial candidate Philip Salvador and former Duterte Youth Party List Representative Ronald Cardema, alongside Mayor Baste Duterte and Senator Bongo. Most of those who attended the celebration wore black shirts. A total of 415 contingents from various sectors joined the parade, with 20,000 people attending, according to the Davao City Police Office or DCPO. The demonstration, including a prayer rally at Rizal Park, was held in response to the arrest of former President Rodrigo Duterte on March 11, 2025. I'm Angela Lagunzad Castro. We are One News.
And now let's check the latest situation in Davao City. We have our News 5 correspondent Bril Montalvo reporting to us live there this morning. Hi Bril, kamusta na ang sitwasyon ngayon dyan sa Davao?
Hello, Paulina, Angelo. Dito nga tayo ngayon sa labas ng bahay ni former President Rodrigo Duterte, kung saan nagpapatuloy pa rin nakabantay ang kanyang mga taga-suporta dito mismo sa harap ng kanyang bahay sa Doña Luisa sa Division sa Davao City. At araw-araw na din sila dito nga namamalagi at shifting yung nila, yung mga nagbabantay dito. May mga nagbabantay sa umaga, sa tanghali at maging sa gabi, at may nag-overnight din dito. At pagdating naman ng gabi ay nag-aalay sila ng dasal, may sinasagawang prayer vigil dito at candlelighting ceremony in support kay former President Rodrigo Duterte. So, yan pa yung huling situation dito sa Davao City.
Yan, Bril, yung pagbabantay ba dyan sa house ni former President Rodrigo Duterte has something to do with, yung chismis na kumalat na may possible search warrant daw na lumabas. Ano ba ang update dyan? Meron nga bang search warrant or was it just a case of gossip na umikot?
Tama ka nga dyan, Angelo. Noong nakarang Webes pa nga ng gabi nang umugong ito ngang mga balita na hahainan umano ng search warrant at i-raid itong ang bahay ni former President Rodrigo Duterte. Hindi lang dito, pati bahay ni Vice President Sara Duterte, bahay ni Congressman Polong at bahay ni Mayor Baste Duterte dito nga sa Davao City. Pero hanggang sa ngayon ay wala pang nagaganap na raid. Pinamulaan na naman yan ng Davao City Police Office at ng PRO 11 na fake news umano ang nasabing pag-grade sa pamamahay ng mga Duterte dito nga sa Davao City. Angelo.
Oo, Bril, narinig nga natin kanina yung pahayag ni Mayor Baste. Sabi niya, you will never be loved. Yan yung mensahe niya kay President Marcos. Pero Bril, ano ba yung naging reaksyon naman ng mga Davaoenyo dyan?
Yes, tama ka nga dyan, Pulino. Grabe, maanghang talaga ang mga banat kahapon, mga patusada ni Mayor Baste Duterte kontra sa administrasyong Marcos. Specifically, ito nga si Pangulong Bongbong Marcos sa kasagsagan ng selebrasyon sa 88 araw ng Davao kahapon dito nga sa Davao City. At ang sabi ni Mayor Baste na you are nothing. Yun yung sabi ni Baste. Kaya Presidente Bongbong Marcos, meaning worthless umano, hindi importante. Ito nga si Pangulong Bongbong Marcos at hindi man ito mamahalina ng mga Pilipino, especially ng mga taga-suporta ni dating Pangulong Rodrigo Roa Duterte. So grabe yung mga banat kahapon at galit nang gagalaiti nga itong si Mayor Baste Duterte during his speech kahapon nga sa selebrasyon ng araw ng Davao. At hindi lang yan, marami ding tao ang naki-join doon nga sa Solidarity Walk sa parade ng araw ng Davao. Nasa 20 to 30,000 ng mga Davaoan at mga taga-suporta galing sa iba't ibang lugar sa Pilipinas sa dumayo pa dito sa Davao City para ipahayag ang kanilang pagsuporta sa dating Pangulo at nagsuot yung ilan sa kanila ng itim na damit na may red ribbon sa kanilang noo at sa kanilang damit para ihayag ang kanilang pagtutol sa pag-aresto kay dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte ng International Criminal Court. Pauline?
Bril, speaking of Baste, no, I thought he was leaving for the Netherlands. Do you have any update on that? Kasi alam ko nag-apply na siya, nagpaayos na siya ng mga documents niya.
Tama ka nga dyan, Angelo. Nung last Thursday nga ay nandoon siya sa Maynila para sana sa kanyang pag-asikaso sa kanyang dokumento papunta doon sa the Netherlands para dalawin ang kanyang ama. Pero naudlot niyan at bumalik siya dito sa Davao City nang mapabalitaan na parang i-raid umano ang bahay ng kanilang pamilya dito sa Davao City at bumalik siya mga pagkaalas 10 ng gabi noong Thursday ay dumating siya dito sa pamamahay ng kanilang ama na si Digong kasi napabalitaan ng kanilang pamilya na yun nga i-raid ang kanilang mga bahay dito ng kapulisan. At kahapon nga ay nandoon na si Mayor Baste Duterte sa selebrasyon ng araw ng Davao. At hanggang sa mga ngayon, according sa kanyang kampo ay nandito lang umano siya sa Davao City. At dito nga sa Davao City ngayon, nagtitahimik na yung mga pasipagod yung mga tao kahapon sa selebrasyon ng araw ng Davao. At ngayong araw din dito sa Davao City, it's a special non-working holiday. So medyo ngayon dito, parang relax lang yung mga tao dito sa Davao City.
Bril, would you know ano na ba ang next move naman ng Duterte camp? May naririnig ka na ba dyan? Tuloy pa rin ba yung kanilang pag-question sa jurisdiction ng ICC, pati yung legality ng pag-aresto kay former President Rodrigo Duterte? Pati may mga supporters pa ba dyan mula sa Davao na balak pumunta dito sa Maynila at mag-stage ng mga demonstration?
Alam mo, Pulino, nakausap natin yung mga taga-suporta ni Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte dito sa Davao City. At sabi nila, hindi na sila pupunta umano doon sa Maynila para magsagawa ng prayer rally. Kasi nga, meron naman daw mga taga-suporta doon ng dating Pangulo na nagsasagawa na ng mga prayer rally, mga solidarity walk, mga ganyan. At sa kanila dito sa Davao City, ay dito na lang sila magsasagawa. And yung sa tanong mo nga, yung sa mga next move ng pamilya Duterte, it's hanggang sa ngayon ay parang question pa rin nila ang ito nga illegal na pag-aresto kaya former President Rodrigo Duterte at ang sa kanila, kidnapping umano itong ginawa ng gobyerno sa dating Pangulo. So, busy na ngayon ang mga abogado, legal team ng pamilya Duterte para questioning yung mga ginawang irregularities sa pag-aresto kay former President Rodrigo Duterte.
So, Bril, any other activities na aasahan ng mga tao na makikita from Davao, from former President Duterte supporters in the coming days?
Alam mo nga, Angelo, araw-araw nga ditong may mga ganap in support kay former President Rodrigo Duterte. Dito nga sa kanilang bahay dito sa Doña Luisa, Davao City, ay every night nagsasagawa ng prayer rally at candle lighting ceremony at maging doon na sa City Hall, sa San Pedro Square, ay may isinasagawa din doong mga prayer rally at candlelighting ceremony in support kay former President Rodrigo Duterte. At tuwing gabi din, napakaingay ng mga kalsada dito sa Davao City kasi nga nagsasagawa ng noise barrage. Yung mga sasakyan, mga tricycle, mga motor ay nandoon sa kalsada, nag-iikot sila sa Davao City at napatunog ang kanilang mga busina, nag-iingay sila sa daana dito sa lungsod para nga sa pagsuporta kay dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte at paulit-ulit silang panawagan na ibalik na dito sa Pilipinas, sa Davao City, ang dating Pangulo. Angelo.
All right, thank you very much, News 5 correspondent Bril Montalvo, for your report.
Meantime, supporters of former President Rodrigo Duterte gathered at Liwasang Bonifacio here in Manila for a prayer rally last Saturday. Wearing green and white shirts and carrying Philippine flags, the attendees demanded Duterte's release following his arrest by the International Criminal Court. In his speech, Senator Bato de la Rosa criticized President Bongbong Marcos for allowing Duterte to be sent to The Hague. De la Rosa also accused the administration of prioritizing foreign interests over Filipinos and claimed the move was politically motivated to block VP Sara Duterte's 2028 presidential bid. The event was also attended by other allies of the Duterte clan.
Commitment sa Interpol! Interpol! Presidente ka ng Pilipinas! Presidente ka ng Pilipinas! Presidente ka ng Pilipinas! Magpapressure ka sa Interpol? Pero ang lumalabas, mas gigil na gigil, mas atat na atat sila kaysa Interpol, kaysa ICC. Atat na atat sila na ibiyahe si Pangulong Duterte.
Yung kanyang pagka-aresto ay illegal. Ang pagkadetini niya ay illegal. Ang pag-kidnap niya sa kanya ay illegal. Ang pagsuko sa kanya sa ICC ay ang paglabag sa saligang batas at pagsuko sa soberentiya ng ating bansa.
Now, the camp of former President Rodrigo Duterte is now preparing for the confirmation of charges, which is set to take place on September 23. And expected to join his counsel is British-Israeli lawyer Nicholas Kaufman, alongside former Executive Secretary Salvador Medialdea, former presidential spokesperson Harry Roque, and Vice President Sara Duterte. Gretchen Ho has the report.
Ako po, ang pangako ko, hindi ako aalis ng Netherlands na hindi kasama si Presidente.
Those were the words of Attorney Harry Roque in a protest rally at The Hague in Netherlands, with supporters of former President Rodrigo Duterte from different parts of Europe in attendance. Roque, who has been missing for months, surprised many when he suddenly resurfaced at The Hague.
Aampunin niyo ba ako? Ang hindi alam na mga bangag dito sa Europe, bali wala ang kapangyarihan mo. Dito sa The Hague, ito ang sentro ng karapatang pantao. Net-net mo, hindi mo ko makukuha dito.
The former presidential spokesperson, now a fugitive according to the House of Representatives, faces an arrest warrant issued in September 2024 for contempt after failing to submit financial documents linking him to Pogos. Roque, who once celebrated the Philippines joining the ICC in 2011, is now questioning the jurisdiction of the court.
Bakit kinakailangan mga dayuhan ang maghusga sa isang Pilipino sa krimen na nangyari sa Pilipinas? Ang sabi nga ni Presidente nung siya'y hinuhuli, mas ninanais kong mamatay kesa husgahan ng mga dayuhan.
And he will get to do so formally if he is approved as legal counsel to former President Rodrigo Duterte, who is now a suspect before the ICC for crimes against humanity of murder, torture, and rape. According to Vice President Sara Duterte, they've gotten the services of British-Israeli barrister attorney Nicholas Kaufman to lead their defense. Attorney Kaufman, a veteran international lawyer, has handled high-profile cases, including former Congo Vice President Jean-Pierre Bemba and Central African Republic Minister Maxime Mokom, both charged with crimes against humanity in the ICC. Bemba was in prison for 10 years, 8 years awaiting trial and verdict, and 2 years upon his conviction. His conviction was overturned when a judge decided that he could not be held responsible for the actions of his men. Kaufman is a trial lawyer who specializes in litigation, crisis public relations, and reputation management. Joining Kaufman in Duterte's defense team is former Executive Secretary Salvador Medialdea, who had already been recognized as his legal counsel. Attorney Harry Roque, who is an ICC list counsel, known for his work on human rights and international law. And Vice President Sara Duterte, who has declared her intention to stay with her father's legal team as long as there is no other family to replace her at The Hague. On the other side of the fence is British-Pakistani Karim Khan, appointed Chief Prosecutor of the ICC in 2021 for a 9-year term. He has led probes into the Taliban and Islamic State in Afghanistan, Russian President Putin for alleged crimes in Ukraine, and Hamas and Israeli officials over the Gaza conflict. The confirmation of charges hearing is set to take place in September 23, 2025, and the defense has hinted questioning the jurisdiction of the ICC as well as the mode of arrest.
And in the confirmation of charges, they will establish that there really is probable cause and that there really is jurisdiction. I will also bring the issue of the illegality of the arrest, of the former president.
Yes.
That should lead to the court losing its jurisdiction. And I would be citing case law from the Constitutional Court of South Africa that an illegal arrest is sufficient to divest the court of jurisdiction because you cannot right a wrong by the commission of another wrong.
Yan. Before we talk about this report, I'd like to touch up yung kay Bato because he was silent during the arrest. But now you've heard from him and is very fiery and feisty. We're awaiting though, ang report is anytime between the next 3 to 6 months, a possible warrant baka ma-release for Senator Bato de la Rosa for ICC.
Actually, nakita ko lang din this morning, March 17, it is March 17 today, and it actually marks 6 years since nag-withdraw tayo officially from the ICC. Remember, it was March 17,
March 17
2019.
also, okay.
Oo, yun yung officially nakapag-withdraw tayo from the ICC. Pero 2018 talaga siya officially na-lodge, di ba?
Yes, oo.
Ng Duterte administration, but it took 1 year before maging official yung ating withdrawal. So, it's just very symbolic, yung days that we have. And dun sa report naman ni Gretchen, what stood out for me, yung si Attorney Nicholas Kaufman, yung magiging lead defense ni President Duterte dyan sa ICC. May kaso si Vice President Jean-Pierre Bemba ng Congo.
Yes.
Parang successfully na-acquit niya eventually ng dun sa crimes.
Actually, initially, he was convicted initially.
Initially.
And tapos na-overturn siya.
Yun.
Yeah. And it's very similar to those of what the former President Duterte is facing because parang ang sinasabi ni Kaufman at that time, at the very least, maybe command responsibility, but to accuse somebody of murder, you cannot. You cannot prove that kasi you have to identify every single person who did the murder. Kung ganun daw. So it's very similar to the case of Duterte.
Ito, yung difference, I guess, is si Mr. Duterte was of course the head of state. So under his administration,
he was caught sanctioning a number of times in his speeches about sanctioning yung EJK. But later on, it was denied and parang sinabi na, well, it's a form of joke that comes from his culture, di ba? Parang joke lang.
But then again, you have to question, diba, bakit na-normalize yung joke na yan? And ano ba talaga yung context ng joking na yan? And I think another topic of discussion now are supporters asking, how do 43 killings amount to crimes against humanity? Kasi ngayon, yung 43 cases pa lang ang ginamit na parang representative sample.
Combined dyan sa mayor and pagka-presidente.
As president ng ICC dun sa bigay nga ng arrest warrant. So they're asking bakit kung 43 killings lang, crimes against humanity na ba yun? No, because inexplain nga ng deputy prosecutor ng ICC that these cases are just used to, yun nga, emblematic siya, kumbaga. So they just represent the attack, but in a large scale, yung widespread and systematic attack nga ng crimes against humanity.
Yes, kumbaga, kumbaga in the murder charge, these are the verified ones, and then which symbolizes what could have possibly happened pa more on the streets, di ba, na the very reason why this case is in the ICC, it's because the government, although is functioning ang court natin, pero unwilling and unable. Bakit unwilling? At that time that these crimes were happening, he was in power. So
Correct.
you're unable to try him. Ngayon, unwilling, bakit unwilling? Same. Who would want to go up against a big family? That's not me, as I'm just saying both sides of the coin kung ano yung mga usapin nila regarding these issues. But you're right, si Kaufman is very noted, he's a very noted defense lawyer. Oo, he has several acquittals aside from this one. Oo.
Pati, yun nga, yung na-overturn yung kay Vice President John Bemba. And narinig ko rin kanina no, sa interview ni Manong Ted Filon, with DJ Chacha also, kay Attorney Israelito Torion, na isa nga sa mga attorney ni Mr. Duterte dito, pati ni Senator Bato de la Rosa, is patuloy pa rin daw nilang ika-question sa Supreme Court yung jurisdiction, pati yung legality pa rin ng arrest. Sabi na kasi ng iba, di ba, it's already moot and academic. Pero for them, it's not, because they're hoping that the Supreme Court will order the government to make representation to the ICC to release ito nga si Mr. Duterte, and to also order the government to stop cooperating with the ICC. So titingnan natin kung mangyayari yan, because right now the Supreme Court cannot just rule na pauwiin itong dating presidente natin. They're saying itong kampo nila ni Attorney Torion na kailangan may representation na gawin ang government.
Pero ang sabi ng mga taga-IBP and yung mga former president ng IBP, parang they don't see it happening anymore because nasa jurisdiction na si Duterte ng ICC. But then again, siguro it's more of symbolic in nature ang gagawin, and the Supreme Court cannot order the office of the president to do certain moves. At the very least, it could be a precedence for next cases.
Correct. For one thing's for sure, ang next na antayin natin ay September 23 pa.
Tagal pa yun.
Yung confirmation of charges 6 months away from now. So
confirmation of charges pa lang yan, guys.
Confirmation pa lang, hindi pa trial to.
Hindi pa trial proper yan. Trial proper, I think, Pauline, 4 to 8 years. Something like that.
Tagal-tagal pa yun.
Tagal pa yan.
All right, now let's move on. Well, the PNP says it is ready to aid the Interpol in apprehending any individuals involved in the drug war should any warrants be issued. PNP spokesperson, Police Brigadier General Jean Fajardo, said they now have a template for apprehending other potential suspects. Now, this comes following the arrest of former President Rodrigo Duterte. However, Fajardo said they have yet to receive any information about a subsequent warrant from Interpol or the International Criminal Court.
Coming up, a group of healthcare workers apologized for including photos of non-EJK victims in a protest.
And Octa Research has released its February Senatorial Preference Survey. Sino-sino nga ba kaya ang pasok sa Magic 12? We'll be back with more stories after the break. Alamin natin yan. Maya-maya. Keep it here on One News. Welcome back. You're still watching News and Views here on One News. The Health Alliance for Democracy, or HED, has explained the inclusion of slain doctors in a protest rally in Manila. HED admitted that Doctors Raul Winston Andutan and Dreyfus Perlas were not victims of extrajudicial killings during the drug war, but they were murdered due to corruption-related issues, red tagging, and other reasons tied to the Duterte administration. The group apologized for any misunderstanding and said that they already discussed the matter with the families of the doctors. However, Andutan's wife said they were not informed that they will use the photo of her late husband in the anti-Duterte rally.
Dr. Cecilio Pedro, president of the Federation of Filipino-Chinese Chambers of Commerce, said that the lack of stability or peace in the country has a significant impact on the economy. This is amid political tensions and the arrest of former President Rodrigo Duterte. Pedro warned that if the situation in the Philippines remains problematic, businessmen may move to more stable countries like Vietnam or Thailand.
Kita nila, ano nangyari dito? Meron ba akong ibang pupuntahan? Nandiyan ang Vietnam, nandiyan ang Thailand, nandiyan ang Malaysia, nandiyan ang ibang bayan, di ba? Why should I come to a place where there is instability? Hanapin nila yung stable, di ba? Yung walang gulo, walang problema. Vietnam is very stable.
He also emphasized that elections should not be a popularity contest and urged voters to support candidates who understand the law and can make a meaningful impact.
Nag-i-endorse kami ng kandidato na makakapagtulong sa paggawa ng batas sa Senado. Ang Senado, main task is to create laws that will help our country. So ang appeal ko sa mga voters natin, pag-isipan natin ang bayan. Sino i-elect nyo para makakatulong sa bayan sa paggawa ng batas? Hindi po pelikula ang Senate. Ayos ba? Botohin natin yung nakakaalam ng batas, yung marunong gumawa ng batas. At saka ang importante ngayon, hindi popularity.
The COMELEC is almost done printing and verifying the official ballots for the upcoming midterm elections. Here's that report.
The COMELEC has started disposing some 6 million rejected ballots for the midterm elections. This comes after the Supreme Court issued a temporary restraining order against the disqualification of some candidates. The poll body had to reprint the ballots with their names.
Hindi na rin po magagamit yung. Kaya lang, nahirap kasi baka kasi yung iba ay maibenta, enterprising, etc.
The COMELEC said there's no turning back as they are almost done printing all the 69 million ballots.
Wala na tayong ibang issue kung hindi yung distribution ng mga balota sa iba't ibang parte ng ating bansa. Ibig sabihin po, March na naghihintay pa kami ng TRO, hindi pwede pong for life kami maghihintay sa printing.
Half of the ballots that have been printed are now verified. They target to finish the printing and verification process by next month.
Lahat ng truck na maghahatid ng mga balota mula sa Santa Rosa papuntang pier, Santa Rosa papuntang airport ay may mga kasamang Philippine National Police, may kasamang escort. Dapat alam namin nasaan na yung cargo, na ano nang update sa cargo at anong lugar na siya naandon.
The printing of voter information sheet is also underway at the satellite office of the National Printing Office in Bulacan. The poll body will start distributing this by April.
A recent Okta research survey showed that 16 senatorial candidates, including all from the administration slate, are within the winning margin for the upcoming elections. ACT-CIS Party List Representative Erwin Tulfo led the survey with 66%, followed by Senator Bongo with 62%, broadcaster Ben Tulfo with 59%, Senator Bong Revilla with 51%, and former Senate President Vicente Soto III with 47%. Other candidates on the list include outgoing Makati Mayor Abby Binay, Senator Lito Lapid, Las Piñas Representative Camille Villar, former Senator Manny Pacquiao, Senator Pia Cayetano, and TV host Willie Revillame. Also included were Senator Amy Marcos, former Senator Ping Lacson, ex-Interior Secretary Benhur Abalos, and Senators Bato de la Rosa and Francis Tolentino. The non-commissioned survey was conducted from February 22 to 28. To discuss this, we have Okta Research Fellow Dr. Guido David. Doc, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, good morning to the Angels of One News, Angela.
Thank you for,
Good morning.
Thank you for the flattery, Doc. Let's talk about your survey. Last time we talked was a couple of weeks ago. No major movements naman. But what is the main thing that you are seeing itong commission survey mo?
Well, the main thing we are seeing is that although the administration candidates are still holding forth, they're still within the magic 12, at least within the statistical margin of error of 3% based on this recent survey conducted February 22 to 28 with 1,200 respondents. Nakita natin may movement din. Yung mga side na endorsed by former President Rodrigo Duterte, like Senator Bongo is number 2, and Willie Revillame is within the top 12 within round of error. Same with Senator Bato de la Rosa. Even Philip Salvador is moving up. He's at 24% voting preference. But we don't count out also the Kiko Pangilinan and Bam Aquino, who are just outside the top 12 round of error, but they're still within range. And anything can still happen. Even former Senator Gringo Hanasan is still there with 24%.
Mm-hmm. And Doc Guido, David, well, I noticed a significant increase dito po kay Senator Bongo. Nung January, 60% po siya, but in your February survey, 62% na po si Senator Bongo. What do you attribute all those that increase to?
Well, it must be due to a lot of marketing or ad campaigns. I don't think na-factor in dito sa survey yung recent developments like with the ICC arrest of former President Rodrigo Duterte. So this was just recent and the survey was conducted February 22 to 28. So I don't think this was factored in. So makikita natin in the next survey kung magkakaroon ng effect yung itong pagka-arrest kay former President
So kumbaga sir, pangangampanya ang naging biggest contributor?
I think so. Kasi
Yeah,
I think it's part of it. That's why some of the other names, even Attorney Vic Rodriguez went up. The numbers, I'm monitoring their numbers. Even see some people further down the list, like see Jimmy Bondoc or also Colonel Bosita also is up at 12%. So those are very respectable numbers. So so we're seeing movements with certain groups. Baka may mga endorsements nangyari. We know that they're very solid in some parts of the country, like in Mindanao and parts of Visayas. So maybe that's having an effect to sa respondents.
Doc, based on what you're seeing, ano yung namamayagpag in terms of what contributes to the popularity of a candidate sa survey? Is it, are you seeing those who have a platform against certain issues na, for example, fight against hunger, fight against inflation, or those who are seeking for jobs? Or mas nakikita mong namamayagpag ang those who are affiliated with a Duterte, with a Marcos, or the Robredo side, mas nagre-resonate yung political affinity?
Actually, ideally nga, dapat namamayagpag yung issues-based natin eh. But so far, we're not seeing that the preference is based mostly on issues. Although, I mean, yan naman talaga yung urgent concerns natin. Even the Filipino respondents say that in our survey na our urgent concern is, jobs and yung poverty and hunger and food on the table, food security. Pero it's still largely nakikita natin yung effect ng personality. Yeah, like they're siding with certain people. So parang ganun parang okay, kampi ako dito, so ito yung boboto.
So it's parang yung dati, Doc. Pero in relation to that, Doc, I'd like to ask about Willie kasi he hasn't spoken yet masyado kung ano yung side of the fence siya. It's not really clear. But yet, he's consistently in the 12, 13, 6. Diba? Do you think it's his the Willie brand of giving out money on his game shows kahit hindi na siya yung nag-host, but it's still under his name yung programa? Does that affect him?
Definitely. For a lot of people, it's still their own personal branding din naman. And when I talked about yun nga, siding with certain personalities, it affects more of the traditional politician types or those who have been held office for some time or previously. Pero with Willie Revillame, it's similar to the Tulfo phenomenon. They're more of where they stand on their issues. We know they're pro-poor, ganun din si Willie Revillame, but it's more of their own branding. And that's why we're also seeing Lito Lapid being very consistently in the top 12. I mean, I think it's his own brand rather than yung endorsement sa kanya. So, kumbaga, some names here stand on their own brand. And maybe that will include people like the former Senator Tito Soto. And some names will need endorsements. And those endorsements will come from families or personalities who have a sizable influence on the voting bloc.
Well, speaking, sir, of candidates with strong brands, no? Parang halos marami sa kanila mga media personalities, di ba? Si Erwin Tulfo, Ben Tulfo, you've got, of course, Lito Lapid as well, Tito Soto, Willie Revillame. But taking a look at other candidates, marami po sa kanila are either incumbent or former senators. Does this indicate voter preference for those with political experience na po?
Well, it mostly indicates that, yes, may political experience and kumbaga, parang kilala na sila ng botante because they've been there already. And it also indicates that, awareness is still one of the biggest contributors to voting preference. So if people are not aware of you, it's hard to get conversions. Of course, we see someone like going down the list, ang pinakamatas yung awareness, outside the top 20 or so, si Pastor Apollo Quibolo, he has 88% awareness, but he has 9% voting for. So, but for many other, they're getting somewhere like 90% plus awareness, and that helps them get the votes that they need.
Looking at yung top 20, Doc, while it's still too early to tell sino ang mamamayagpag sa election, more or less, I think you can see already sa 20 or even sa 24 candidates na ito, kung sino ang may consistent trend na pataas. Not necessarily na sa top 10 or 12, pero yung consistently umaangat every survey. Sino ang nakikita mo, Doc, na very consistent, hindi yung nag-up and down, yung tuloy-tuloy lang ang pagtaas?
Well, very consistent. Si Senator Bongod, the Tulfo brothers, Ben Tulfo and Erwin Tulfo, and then si Bong Reviles, very consistent, and Tito Soto. Manny Pacquiao is quite consistent, although he hasn't been in the top 6 in the surveys. He's always been parang between 7 to 12, but he's consistent. We're also seeing consistency from Pia Cayetano, Senator Pia Cayetano, and as I mentioned, si Lito Lapid is quite consistent. In some surveys, he's as highest number 2. Others na not so consistent, but still there. Yun nga, we mentioned already. Si Abby Binay, we're seeing her numbers really surging right now, and si Camille Villar, she's also up to number 8 sa survey namin, considering just a year ago, a lot of people didn't know her, but now she has 98% awareness because of the campaigns. Abby Binay has 95% awareness. So, that has helped them, gain traction and be in the top 12, even higher than some of the incumbents. Si Ping Lacson has been consistent, but for some reason, we're seeing his numbers relatively lower in this survey period. But this survey is very dynamic, maraming changes. Baka sa March survey namin, iba na naman yung makita natin na top 12.
And sir, I wanted to ask about Senator Bato de la Rosa particularly. How do you think the recent developments with the ICC will affect his rankings sa susunod niyo po na survey?
Yeah, that's very interesting kasi it could go both ways. He could get sympathy votes actually. because of what's happening with the ICC, and there's rallies and protests going on. But at the same time, there will be those who will view him as because it will be associated with an arrest at ICC, and that may affect him negatively then. So I see it as going both ways, and we'll have to see what the public says. That's the next survey. But so far, he's been consistently in the top 12 within the round of error. In some surveys, he's actually higher, maybe even as high as mga top 8 or something. So we'll see how that plays out in the next surveys.
So any dark horses to watch out for, Doc? Kasi may mga madaming umiingay na wala naman sa survey, but it has happened in these elections in the past na may lumilitaw bigla.
Well, so far, nawala na yung mga ibang dark horse natin. Like si Doc Willie Ong was a dark horse of sorts. Governor Chavez Singson was a dark horse of sorts. Right now, I'm seeing siguro si Philip Salvador is, he could have a play at this. So he's within striking distance.
How about, Doc, any progressives?
Yeah, of course, si Kiko Pangilinan and Bam Aquino, both former senators. So I'm starting to see campaigns from both of them. So don't count them out also. They could make a run for it. They're also within the striking distance. And I wouldn't count out some of those administration candidates who are also lower, like si Ben-Hur Abalos. He's still there. He's still within the group. And same with incumbent Senator Francis Toldo Lentino.
All right, well, thank you very much for joining us this morning and sharing your insights. That was Octa Research Fellow, Dr. Guido David.
Thank you.
Don't go away because we're not done yet. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching News and Views here on One News. The list of dubious recipients linked to Vice President Sara Duterte's confidential fund continues to grow. House Deputy Majority Leader Paulo Ortega V has exposed new names, including a so-called Dodong Gang and individuals named Jay Camote and Miggy Mango. Ortega revealed that at least 5 individuals named Dodong, Dodong Alcala, Dodong Bina, Dodong Bunal, Dodong Darong, and Dodong S. Barok were listed as fund recipients. Meanwhile, Jay Camote and Miggy Mango raised further suspicion due to their unusual names resembling food items rather than people. These latest findings add to previously flagged names like Mary Grace Piatos, Xiaomi Ocho, and whose identities were also unverifiable. The Philippine Statistics Authority confirmed that these new names, like many others in the fund reports, have no birth, marriage, or death records.
Now, in other news, the Atenito Coalition is set to launch its 3rd civilian mission to the West Philippine Sea in late May. The mission will feature a Peace and Solidarity Sea concert with fisherfolk, artists, and advocates from the Philippines and ASEAN nations to push back against foreign aggression. Akbayan Party List President and Atenito co-convener Rafaela David stressed the goal of asserting territorial rights through peaceful means. This initiative follows previous successful missions in 2023 and 2024 that provided aid to fisherfolk while raising public awareness of the West Philippine Sea issue.
U.S. warplanes launched airstrikes on several Houthi sites in Yemen on Saturday. The Houthi-run health ministry said at least 31 people were killed and over 100 others wounded in the airstrikes. According to local residents, the strikes targeted ammunition and rocket depots in the Al Jarraf neighborhood. This is the first military operation conducted by the U.S. military against the Houthi sites since President Donald Trump assumed power in January.
And now shifting gears to sports, the excitement continues in the UAAP Season 87 volleyball tournament. The NU Lady Bulldogs mounted a successful comeback to repulse the USC Golden Tigresses on Sunday. Player of the game, Eliza Solomon, finished with 24 points, while Bella Belen finished with a triple-double of 19 points. Meanwhile, the UP Fighting Maroons snapped their losing skid at the expense of the Adamson Lady Falcons. UP improved its record to 3-4 thanks to a team effort where 4 Fighting Maroons breached double figures.
A Cebu-based traveling photographer captures moments for strangers and gives them pre-printed photos as a souvenir. Mobile journalist Amy Atienza has the report.
Mahilig ka bang kumuha ng litrato at gumala? Ang nakilala kong Cebuano, pinagsama ang dalawa niyang hobby para magpasaya palalo ng tao. Picture dito, picture doon. Yan ang gawin ng social media content creator mula Cebu City na si Mark Roy Mangrobang tuwing namamasyal. Pero hindi lang magagandang tanawin ang kinukunan niya ng litrato, pati na ang kanyang mga nakakasalamuha, kilala man niya o hindi. Ang pabonus, on the spot niya pang dinidevelop ang picture, saka binibigay ang kopya sa kanyang subject. Kaya naman all smiles daw ang mga ito kapag natanggap ang litrato.
Okay na kaya, upload. Sige. Wala lang. Sige, thank you.
It's fulfilling naman kasi yung reaction ng binibigyan ko. Minsan happy, minsan ma-shock sila kasi.
Natutuwa rin daw siyang gawin ito dahil mas marami siyang nakikilalang iba't ibang tao. Kaya kahit uso na ang digital photos, para kay Mark, hindi raw matatawaran ang halaga ng printed photograph.
I think mas intimate yung printed photographs kaysa digital pictures. For a printed photograph, pwede lang isa, then more sentimental.
Sa kanyang pag-iikot, marami na rin daw siyang natututunan.
Practice makes perfect and people are more kinder than what you expect.
Pagkaman sa Visayas pa lang nakakapaglibot si Mark, hindi maitatanggi na marami na sa buong bansa ang nakakakita ng kanyang passion at talento. Mobile journalist Amy Atienza po, hatid ang muka ng balita.
Well, last week, Pauline, was truly a historic moment in terms of the events that happened with the first president, Philippine president and Asian, to be taken to the ICC to be tried for crimes against humanity. And now we're at our second week, no?
We are at our second week, but we did mention earlier, no, it will be at least 6 more months before we see any movement with the
Kailan ba?
ICC.
September, no?
23, pa kasi yung confirmation of charges at The Hague. So we, this time could be used by the defense team of the former president to really prepare kung ano yung magiging ano nila, yung arguments nila, defense. But they are, of course, focusing on questioning the jurisdiction of the ICC, the legality of the issuance of the warrant of arrest. And kanina nga, no, nabanggit ko itong si Attorney Israelito Torion.
Yeah.
Hindi pala niya kay Manong Ted at DJ Chacha sinabi, kay Bok Edlingao sa Morning Matters, na it's not moot and academic because they really want to question doon sa Supreme Court and order the government to to bring back the president dito on the basis of local laws were bypassed by the Supreme Court.
Yeah, but in the meantime, we're also, I think, waiting for kung ano yung magiging tugon nila about yung liberty, issue of temporary liberty.
Oh
for
yes,
the
yung interim release.
Yung interim release niya. But apparently, kasi pag interim release daw, you're within the vicinity of the Netherlands or the ICC court. Pero there were instances daw as far as Amsterdam, minsan pinapayagan, but kinakabitan nila ng ankle bracelet monitor also.
Ankle bracelet.
Oo.
Parang may narinig ako, was it kahit AirTag nga lang daw eh. Pag naging high-tech na,
Sana maging AirTag eh, no?
Wala, hindi na kailangan daw ng parang ankle brace na yan.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Malayo pa kasi September.
September pa. The interim release could only be granted daw under specific conditions, di ba?
Correct.
If you're
That's right.
not a flight risk, if you won't be a threat to the witnesses, to the
Yes.
victims.
Pero ang naging issue kasi ng ICC, the charges that were accepted by the court, yung warrant of arrest, nakaspecify doon na the reason why he needs to be taken in already in custody because parang ang sinasabi nila doon sa report, he is a threat. Hindi naman na-mention flight risk because high profile siya, but he is a threat to several witnesses. That's why sila Matobato and Las Cañas, I think, are in witness protection.
Witness protection,
Oo,
tama.
so it remains to be seen if it will be granted. They don't take age daw into consideration. Yeah, he's healthy daw, physically healthy.
So isa pa yung point of contention, ang rason kung bakit hindi nga raw nakadala itong si President Duterte dyan sa hearing in person was because of medical issues. But
pagod daw, pagod physically.
Pero sabi ni Judge Motok na the doctors of the ICC actually deemed him mentally and physically fit. But doon sa demeanor ni President sa online,
he looked tired.
He looked tired and he was he was kind of stuttering.
Yeah.
And he was introducing himself. So, tignan natin,
Kasi ang tama ka doon, he was stuttering. Tapos ang pinupunto pa ni Salvador Medialdea, attorney, that si President Duterte was not aware of his rights, hindi niya alam what he was being charged with. Pero kinounter ng judge saying, no, based on the registry, he was fully aware, he expressed that he understood the charges against him. So, parang at that point, kasi hindi pa pala nag-uusap si Salvador Medialdea and PRRD.
Yes, correct. I believe CES even used the word debilitating medical condition.
Yes.
Parang yun yung medyo na nagtaka ako na debilitating ba talaga? I mean, because debilitating means you really can't,
incapacitated
right?
ka. Oo.
But then, ando naman si Presidente, was able to attend kahit virtually, he was able to speak. So, tingnan natin ba talaga yung medical condition ng Presidente.
Well, what is certain lang, he did look tired.
Baka jet lag.
Isipin mo, from Hong Kong, they whisked him away to Villamor. Hinold siya for a few hours. Took him on a plane, layover sa Dubai, went to The Hague, whisked him to the hospital. So for sure, anybody, kahit bata, would be that tired. But medical condition, debunked by the court already.
Ayan, so abangan natin, no?
Let's see what happens this week. Mahaba pa to.
Mahaba pa.
Ready. With that, Pauline, I have a quote that I would leave for all our viewers, diba? Hate speech and freedom of speech are two different things. Remember that. Quote from Leslie Jones, and that wraps up today's episode of News and Views.
Join us again tomorrow, or join them again tomorrow with Angela. I'm Pauline Verzosa.
And I'm Angelo Castro III. We are One News.
All sides, all the time.